kiss can't bring somebody back from the brink of death.
That's not what you told me last night.
Watching Fiona and Cake is like finally graduating from the kids' table at Thanksgiving. The adults can finally cut all the BS and show you how unhinged they really are. Fiona and Cake Season 2 is picking up steam with Episode 3, The Lion of Embers, a title that refers to Felix, aka DJ Flame, whose sudden return to Fiona's life is shaking things up, seemingly for the worse. This episode threw a lot at us, from the big retconning of Fionnaworld, to the return of Flame Princess, to the proper introduction of Fennel, alongside appearances from Prismo, Spirit Warrior, and the Cosmic Owl. So let's waste no time and break down all the major details you might have missed. This episode's cold open reveals the final moments of the original Fionnaworld, where Fiona and Cake were facing off against Ice Queen in what was almost Fiona's final adventure. This time around, the Ice Queen has captured Flame Prince, using him as a power source for a snow-based robot named the Ice Automaton. This is a great way to differentiate her from the Ice King, making her more of a mad scientist who abducts royalty so that she can utilize their powers for her experiments, whereas Ice King's habit of princess napping stemmed from the fact that his warped mind was trying to find Betty, his princess. Fiona wields a magical girl-themed sword that possesses the ability to morph its blade into different forms, like this Buster Sword-esque blade with jagged teeth, which frankly is cooler than any sword Finn has ever had, barring the grass sword, as I could never reduce half a Fern to just a weapon. Fiona defeats the Ice Queen and revives Flame Prince with a kiss, one that mirrors the second kiss between Finn and Flame Princess in Burning Low. Unfortunately, this kiss was so intense that Flame Prince's body heat causes the room to melt, presenting a whole new hazard as icicles begin to rain down from the ceiling. One of these icicles nearly takes Flame's life, but he gets pushed out of the way by Fiona, who sacrifices herself to save him. It's in her nature as a Finn. Don't forget what he said and come along with me.
I always figured I'd go out saving somebody.
But seconds before Fiona's crushed to death, Ice King reverted back to normal old Simon Petrikov inside of gold, his body and mind being completely stripped of magic, forcing the entirety of Fionnaworld to get retconned into a brand new continuity, ushering in a reality with no magic. And this retcon might as well have been a hard reboot, as everyone's origins and lives up to that point were completely rewritten. It seems like even their ages shifted, as Fiona would have been Finn's age and come along with me, 17 years old. But after the retcon, she immediately jumps to her late 20s, as she's heading to her lifeguard shift that we got a glimpse of during the opening montage in the first episode, one of her many gigs around town during her job-hopping escapades. Fiona, Cake, and Flame went from simple gender-swap versions of Finn, Jake, and Flame Princess to total strangers. Fiona and Flame were never dating, and Cake was nerfed into an ordinary stray cat who presumably was taken in by Fiona after Cake chased her down for her sandwich. Flame was renamed to Felix in the retcon, complimenting Flame Princess's name, Phoebe. I like that the name is spelled with a PH, because while yes, that is a normal way to spell the name, the PH in both Felix and Phoebe calls to mind a phoenix, so both names feel fire adjacent. Despite the retcon wiping everyone's memory of their past lives, they can still feel the connections that they used to share, which is why Fiona feels like her soul is bonded to Felix, and why Cake and Monochromacorn are trying to make their thing work. They all subconsciously recognize their romantic inclinations, which is why it's painful when later in the episode, Fiona asks Cake what she even knows about relationships, because Cake did used to have one, and even if she can't remember it, she still feels it, which is why trying to rekindle the flame is so frustrating. I'd like to think that Fionnaworld getting retconned into a mundane slice-of-life world happened a little bit after Simon turned back to normal, as we can spot some gold Betty graffiti on a garage door, and later in the episode, one of the DJs is wearing a Groff shirt, though that in particular could just highlight Betty's influence on Simon. Either way, the gold Betty graffiti could signify that her sacrifice had a major impact on the world, as it's a pretty traumatic event for Simon, finally getting the love of your life back, only to watch her merge with a deity and peace out. Though, like the Gold Betty statue, it could be another retcon in itself, as Gold Betty helps Simon liberate Fionnaworld from his mind and wield it into canonicity. So her fingerprints are all over the place. A detail that I've neglected to mention before that pops back up in this episode is the inclusion of snails in this season, as we see a couple in Fiona's apartment. This inclusion feels like a very intentional nod towards the Lich, who possessed a snail after it inadvertently freed the cosmic being. While the snail was just a running gag in early Adventure Time prior to this moment, and could just be a mere Easter egg here, the team behind the show is well aware that it's forever linked to the Lich in the minds of fans everywhere. Scarab told Fiona that her world would inherit the good and the bad of the multiverse, so the emergence of the Lich in Fionnaworld feels inevitable. Don't forget, BMO kept calling him Jerry in the extinct world, and the human banana guards mentioned a Jerry in the first episode. And with the show proving that season 1 actually set a lot in motion, it's not too far-fetched to believe that all of this is going to have some insane payoff down the road. Probably just not this season. Huntress Wizard is stuck as a seedling in Fiona's apartment, relying on water to grow, but unfortunately, the hectic state of Fiona's life has her neglecting her plants. Her mind is swept up by her love life, Queenie taking over the sweet spot, and the imposter syndrome she's grappling with after being hailed as a hero by the city. Prismo and Cosmic Owl are observing Huntress Wizard's journey from the time room, placing bets on how she'll get derailed by the world around her. Now, Prismo started glitching out at the end of season 1, but it's a lot more noticeable here. What's going on? Well, this scene is stemmed from Prismo breaking his arm when busting out a Scarab's cube at the end of season 1. It's easy to forget, but Prismo's silhouette form is not his physical body. You know, the old man Prismo who's also a J-clone. I think because the entity was damaged, but the actual body remained unharmed, he's a little out of sync and on the fritz. We'll see how all of this is affecting Prismo real soon, but for now, that's my theory. Prismo clarifies to Scarab in the audience that the path Huntress took to Fionnaworld is something that goes beyond the multiverse, so she's not necessarily considered a crossover. She's not dealing with the multiverse, but the branches within the multiverse. It's all one big ass tree, or I guess it's more akin to the mycorrhizal network, the fungal threads that connect all the plant roots together. Being able to traverse to different worlds through these means is a blessing, a gift bestowed to Huntress by a higher power. So Prismo can't do jack squat, nor does he want to. This is a lot of fun for him. Bubblegum runs a diagnostic on Finn and concludes that the heart of the forest has simultaneously poisoned the adventurer, yet is somehow keeping him alive, supporting my theory that Finn has been connected to the heart of the forest after having his body pierced by the branches. But because it didn't fully engulf him, like it did Huntress's severed hand, he's left in this comatose state. The cure has to be something involving Huntress and returning him to the forest. PB later tests an antidote on a sample of Finn's infected blood cells, which are coated in a pale green substance. But the infection completely neutralizes and dissolves the medicine. As frustrating as it is to Bubblegum, science isn't going to be the answer to saving Finn. It was caused by forest magic and needs to be resolved with forest magic, despite PB trying to downplay its viability, as she believes magic is inferior to science. She still rationalizes a lot of it as make-believe. She rejects the notion that it could be the solution as opposed to a breakthrough that she could create herself, though she finally begins to change her tune towards the end of the episode. Finn's well-being has attracted all of the princesses of Ooh to pull up together like the Avengers and conduct a Sleeping Beauty experiment, attempting to heal and awaken him with true love's kiss. This sets the stage for the triumphant return of Flame Princess, a moment that gave all the day ones a heart attack as she takes a crack at smooching Finn, affirming that she truly did love him way back when, before proceeding to lay one on him, mirroring their first kiss from Burning Low. And it doesn't work. Now I know Finn and Flame Princess were literally 12 when they dated, and it wasn't for that long in the grand scheme of things, but this is a moment that's meant for the long-time fans. If you saw the Flame Princess saga unfold as it aired on TV, you were likely emotionally invested in this relationship, and if you were on board with them back then, the shit probably stuck with you throughout the years. Their short time together carries a lot of weight to the audience, so it was sweet to see them lean into it here. But again, although the kiss didn't work, Flame Princess thought it was worth a shot, but had her doubts, since she's seeing someone new. But she's interrupted before she could reveal the identity of this mystery lover. Despite what's going on with Felix, I don't think Phoebe somehow got with Fern. Last I checked, Bro was being regrown into the new treehouse, and I'm not sure if he could ever become Fern again, given that he was a combination of the grass sword and Finn sword. So I think this new partner is either someone completely out of left field that no one saw coming, or a brand new character that we could meet in either a different installment of the franchise or the next season of the show, or maybe at the very end of this season. This moment definitely read as setup. Fiona reunites with Felix in a way that mirrors how they met in this continuity, this time with Felix bumping into her while on a run. And this exchange ends with Felix inviting Fiona to his next show. I don't think it's a coincidence that Fiona accumulated leaves in her hair during this encounter, as it alludes to the reintroduction of Fennel, Fionnaworld's equivalent of Fern, who has no relation to Fiona whatsoever in this continuity. We learned that after the retcon, Fiona and Felix dated for 6 months, just like Finn and Flame Princess, but he felt like things were moving too fast and broke things off. Sadly, Fiona got her hopes of getting back together with Felix way up, as the dude brings Fennel on stage and tongues her down right in front of Fiona. Dude, why would you ever do this? Even if he thinks Fiona has no feelings for him whatsoever, inviting an ex to watch you make out on stage with your new boo is some sick work. Also, Fiona and Fennel are wearing the exact same outfits, just in different colors. I thought that was a neat detail that, in Fiona's mind, justifies writing off Fennel as a copycat version of her. A statement that implies Fiona is projecting her insecurities onto Fennel, as she remarks that she hates everything about her, when really Fiona's trying to say that she hates everything about herself. Huntress Wizard has another dream where she encounters Spirit Warrior. Not to be confused with Spirit Dream Warrior, of course. Spirit Warrior cryptically tells Huntress to follow the beat to the root, and that the broken tool seeks the flame. Following the beat to the root likely refers to Huntress needing to find Fionnaworld's heart of the forest, as it'll allow her to return to the roots of the multiverse, and ideally return to Ooh. The broken tool seeks the flame might be referring to Finn, and how again, he needs to be returned to the heart of the forest to be healed. Fiona drunkenly turns to Hunter for comfort, and we get a glimpse of Hunter's top surgery scars, confirming that he's at the very least not a cis man. But I think a lot of people already figured that out from the moment we were introduced to him, given that a lot of people either interpreted him as trans-mask or non-binary. Hunter defends Fennel from Fiona's envious wrath, stating that they go way back, which I guess makes sense. In a world where Fennel didn't spawn into existence from two swords merging, she'd still be a big nature enthusiast who naturally gravitates towards Hunter. Fiona tries to go in for a kiss, but not only does Hunter stop her because she's drunk, but she briefly sees him as the decaying Winter King, hammering in the fact that this poor girl is traumatized from her adventures. This could even be a manifestation of trust issues, since she fell for the Winter King only to watch him die, and then immediately discover that he was a bit of a psychopath. Fiona fully crashes out over her heartbreak, and laments that she still feels like a loser, despite saving the world. She got her world canonized, but that didn't mean things suddenly fell into place for her. Instead, she returned to the same messy life where she can barely hold everything together. There is no reward for being a hero. But being a good person isn't about the benefits, so Not to sound cruel, but this is the kind of stuff I love to see. The tortured hero who can pull off these incredible feats, but at the end of the day, is still just a human being trying to make ends meet and find their place in the world. And so far, Adventure Time is giving us a really interesting take on that. Fiona's tears revive Huntress Wizard, so we're finally getting the ball rolling with her shenanigans in Fionnaworld. But unfortunately, time is ticking, as the show decided to reintroduce the concept of croak dreams to the audience through Farm World Big Destiny, who has a nightmare of his own demise before being taken out by his son Peanut. I'm not gonna lie, big dog, that kinda serves you right. You weren't that great of a dad. I'm assuming Peanut's decision to kill his father is tied to Little Destiny's absence, and this could be sowing the seeds for something going down in Farm World later in the series. But for now, be afraid, because the Cosmic Owl and croak dreams being shown to us in the same episode doesn't bode well for Finn. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours. What did you think about this episode? What are your thoughts on Felix, Fennel, and the return of Flame Princess? Let us know in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going over on Twitter and Instagram at OstricVox and at Roundtable Vids. And subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you can stay in the loop of all things animation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Peace!